So the first two episodes are pretty much about exposition and getting to know the characters, the setting and all that.
What do you think of Akane not knowing shit?
The big thing is, like, she's supposed to be trained for it for some amount of time, but, like, she just gets thrown into it and you're like, oh, this is how you use the gun and all. Shouldn't she at least already know some of this? I was very concerned by, like, how much she had to learn about stuff when she should have been going into this job knowing at least a bit.
A major issue with the actual opening is Akane's portrayal, because as we're shown when she goes in, she's still a standard citizen who has to get used to the way of crime. Her reactions are nothing like the rest of the general public later on. She instantly is shown to, okay, this woman's about to get killed unjustly, I'll stop it. It's almost as if these characters are exempt from the rest of the people in this country.
The show literally portrays Akane like she's literally the most ideal citizen. They're purposely making her this way to come up for a sudden reveal. It doesn't make it feel like Akane is the everyman. It makes it feel like the show is making Akane to be a saint and for her to somehow be different than everyone else.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that. What's the problem in having heroes?
And no one else questions it but Akane.
Because she's not a person, she's a plot device. A lobotomized ask man, just existing to ask the questions the audience would. Of course, and she has to be ideal, because if she wasn't, she would be part of the system, an idiot as everybody else.
They have these nice chases, like they chase a villain. Actually, this is the one villain that isn't retarded in the entirety of the show. You know, is forced in a way to corner himself by the society in which he lives and by the civil system. And, then is just a chain reaction.
He makes the woman next to him, an actual victim of rape, another psychopath according to the system. Therefore, she is also meant to be eliminated.
Another major flaw with the opening would have been that they try to make you hate Sybil from the get-go, yet they also try to highlight it as good because they want it to be kind of this morally ambiguous thing. But they never really establish the good that well compared to the evil. So it's very hard to kind of see this as morally grey. It's more so just morally biased, and that thing is evil. Stop it from the very get-go.
There's no reason for you to think that it's good or that it helps. The whole point of the show is, oh, is it good or is it bad? Does it help society or does it make it worse? Yada, yada, yada. It's supposed to set itself up in a way that shows a balance. When you only see one side of things, then
Why didn't the gun know that, the lady is going to go below the threshold eventually and get back to normal? If Sybil was smart, it should have been able to realize, oh, this person is not worth killing. It may be in shock now and it could kill someone now, but you can only paralyze her and then she's gonna be fine. So from the start, the system is retarded. You wonder, how did this system even come into place? Like, how did it start if it's so obviously faulty that even someone who is new in his job and has no idea what he's doing can realize, oh, this person is actually not a villain, is not gonna kill anyone, is not a criminal just because she's scared and she got abused after she got raped and all that stuff.
Sybil doesn't provide enough goods and services to justify and warrant its existence. It limits the people's free speech. It limits what they can do, makes an evaluation of them, and if it deems you unworthy of society, you're just shooed away and to do some backwater job. There's very few and or little justification for its harshness and tone, or really any reason for it. It just come off as cartoonishly evil and makes the whole gray morality come off as forced and honestly rather trivial, as there's no real grayness. It comes off more as black and white than anything else.
So once again, Uro Butcher is full of shit.
He uses the idea of utilitarianism as a way to excuse Sybil's existence. The idea of humanity strives for efficiency. We all want to basically be the most efficient as possible. And Sybil's supposed to be the encapsulation of efficiency, but the thing is, Sybil also does things very contradictory to being efficient.
Are we seriously talking about Sybil's merits? Because there are none shown. That's the problem with the show. It doesn't show any merit of Sybil.
They keep mentioning how Sybil is perfect, but they never give any reason as to why it's perfect. But like characters like Ginzomo and the Chief just lazily brush it off and say, Sybil's perfect, and we give no reason why it's perfect. It has no merit to speak of. how easy it is to move away from the scanners and go undetected throughout the city. Because we're so perfect, we're going to leave perfectly blank spots in our entire city.
Being a villain in the Sybil system is like playing Grand Theft Auto 5. You kill someone in front of a cop, you got 2 stars. You drive around, you go into a paint and spray, you paint your car, and then you're good because, they can't find you anymore. That's how Psycho-Pass
Psycho-Pass 2 actually does this, by the way.
Exactly.
Wow.
The second episode is trying to explain Psycho-Pass a little bit better, but for a show that's supposed to be about grey morality, the system is not exactly grey or complicated, is it now?
Psycho-Pass scale. Under
Yeah.
this, you are good. Under this, you are bad. You are
That's
Yeah,
you
no,
are
this is
such
extremely
person,
convenient.
you are awful, and you should not exist.
There could be this whole rehab mechanic and
They do have
characters.
a rehab, but it's meant for
Yeah.
people with, you're almost there, but we can't kill you yet type mechanic.
Exactly.
So apparently the inspectors and enforcers are not exempt from this Sybil system, even though they're detectives, which I should remind people is an extremely stressful job, especially if you're going up against murderers, rapists, serial killers. Yeah, I think that if you were there, your Psycho-Pass would go up pretty high.
You're going to interact with victims who've witnessed horrible stuff, or you're going to feel bad for them. And
You're
basically,
also-
any emotion in this show puts your freaking Psycho-Pass up.
And which makes it so that basically it's extremely counterintuitive to the Sybil system because its own system is fighting against its very enforcement agency to make sure that it works properly.
They also always emphasize how the inspectors should be wary of the enforcers because they have criminal minds and you may adapt them yourself and become an enforcer yourself and that shit.
So the people who interact with the craziest people will also become crazy. Wait, then if they become too crazy, then they can't be cops, but everyone will become too crazy. It's a mess.
Heck, even in the rehab facilities we see fanatic artists.
Oh, right, the artists are considered fanatics because simply of freedom of speech, which is something that the civil system basically restricts.
Oh great, now Sybil even hates fine arts. Let's move now to the third episode with the factory incident.
They're in a programming factory and 3 people have died there. They soon discover that there is a guy in there who's trying to murder his colleagues for bullying him. And the reason why they're bullying him is so they can keep their Psycho-Pass down. You can basically victimize somebody and not be punished for it. It makes it so that the abusers of this case are much more in the right than the actual victims, and making the victim come off as more of the psychopath than anything else. This is just another way the show's trying to ham-fist the message of, Sybil is evil! Don't you get it? She's making it so that these victims are actually terrible human beings, and that the abusers are the good guys.
The more sadistic you are, the easier it is for you in life. That kind of paints a picture that I'm not sure I'm happy with in this show. Does that mean that there aren't any good people working in higher jobs? Does that mean there aren't any good cops, for example?
So ham-fisted, because it's not even trying to present Sybil as giving it a less stressful work to people, especially with the facility of these drones where they have no communication outside of their world, and they're more or less standing here 24/7 working.
It's really fucked up because if you expect a system to be set up in the first place, it should be aware of that kind of stuff and be better than that and know when somebody did something evil, even though he feels less stressed afterwards. It doesn't really make sense. I mean, if after so much improving the system is so bad, and it's obviously bad, how was it when it was first introduced and it was even worse?
The actual manager could probably also figure this out. Oh, he's killing my men. I don't want my men to be dead because I need them to work for me. Instead, he just refuses anyone to get in, does not want any inspection to be done there, and is basically going to have his own factory go down.
Which is kind of ironic when you think about his character, because he's all about, I'm doing this to keep money.
Yeah, and no, you're just going to lose money because now you're losing workers. Now you have to pay for the advertisement to get more workers. No one's going to want to work there because people keep dying there. This man does not know how to do business, and he's just like every other character that isn't in the main cast. He's an idiot.
They are fighting robots in this episode, and somehow the Dominator knows that they are a threat. How does it do that?
What happens if the enforcers immediately were up against machinery? They're
That
instructed.
could be said as paint the picture that the cops are powerless against anything but people who are standing still and have a high psychopath. Otherwise, the cops cannot do anything unless you are a cool badass that can jump and do laser stuff and whatever.
This is the first detective mission, and it's all cranked up in one episode, and it's really disappointing. They find a lead, Kogami looks around and it says, "Oh, I know the solution. This is what happened."
They read the script.
Yeah, exactly. There's no mystery. This is not a detective show. This is not how detective shows are done.
Where's the evidence gathering of crucial evidence? Where's the...
Nothing like that.
But
There's
guys,
nothing like
this
that.
is a 20-minute show. We don't have 40 minutes to
Exactly.
fill.
It's a 20-minute show, and it's a 24-episode show.
The big
There is no
problem with
time
it
for
is-
stuff, and the cases we actually see are boring.
They're
I mean-
all poorly presented every single time. There's no mystery. It's just chasing a villain, and then somebody says, "Oh, this is what happened." 1 minute of explanations, and then they chase him some more and find another clue, and then another 1 minute of explanation, and that's it. No mystery, no nothing, no possible suspects, no false leads, no red herrings, no nothing. So this is a very bad detective show.
Yeah, but in theory, we wouldn't even need a detective aspect if there were scanners everywhere, instead of always having these magical blind spots where they can just go and hide. This factory was isolated. The whole thing lasted one episode because they couldn't just scan who the hell did it.
This is basically what makes the enforcers vulnerable for some reason. You would think the civil system would be interconnected in everything in this society, monitoring very closely the different spikes in people's psychopaths to make sure that nothing goes wrong. But there is always something or some loophole that the villains find and they avoid.
Just for this factory, it's an inconvenient for convenience.
Moving to the internet incident.
In this arc, we're basically introduced to the internet system and how the internet sort of works and interchanges in Psychopath's world. We get to a serial killer who's basically gone around and murdered a bunch of internet celebrities.
And one of his victims was an anarchist.
Because in this society, anarchists can exist because reasons. Spooky Boogie is basically a person who is demanding the crackdown and destruction of the Sybil system. Why would Sybil have these people? Sybil would instantly kill them or remove them from society so that they cannot inspire such ideals. The civil system is perfect. I don't think it's perfect if there are literally anarchists on the internet rebelling against you.
But here's the thing, was there ever a protest against the civil system?
You're not shown because that's the problem with this show. It doesn't
We never see opposition.
really...
We have an anarchist introduced in this very
No,
episode.
the active opposition that does something, not...
No,
Oh,
no,
it's
you
episode.
didn't get it. The whole arc point is that the system allows anarchists to exist on the internet so that they relieve the stress and don't do anarchistic acts in the actual real life. That's what you do on the internet. You go around, you troll a bit, you complain, and that's it. You feel much better. You know, that was the point of this arc.
The killer was using holograms to escape, wasn't he?
We show sort of how the hollow discs can be used to outmaneuver basically the enforcers and the inspectors as the man uses it in his room as a means of escaping.
And although he was supposed to run away, he stood still and waited 10 seconds for the Dominator to lock on him, see his crime coefficiency number, and shoot him. Because that's the only way the investigators can actually stop somebody in this show.
Because he's just standing there like an idiot. Eventually, Makishima, because of how bored he was with him, decides to kill him because...
He lacks originality, while Makishima himself is making pretentious allegories to old literature.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the representation on the society of an individual who's been so encapsulated by the internet and has lost his own identity in the society. This is how dependent some of the paired people are for the escapism of the internet. That they've basically gotten rid of their original personas and instead sort of seeped into these fictional characters that they're fans of and no longer come off as the original person.
What do you think about the aesthetics of the virtual reality forums?
It seems like what they're trying to do is they're trying to lighten their psychopath load by being very excessively cute. Since you're allowed to personalize your own avatar, it gives you this sense of honest escapism. Basically, what the civil system is trying to do with the internet is saying, since you have these psychopaths, we might as well give you the freedom to do whatever you want on the internet since we've restricted you at the outside world. Each of the avatars you see are basically how the people design them themselves to feel more comfortable.
It's not limited to the internet. They also have these rave parties where they all go dressed as their avatars. They take drugs and they dance in a maniac way, and whoa, this totally is not creating any crimes. I don't know how that's supposed to happen. But anyways, back to the criminal. What about him?
He's no longer the person he once was, rather an amalgamation of the things he likes, and is as such a lost cause. That said, it's kind of lost by the fact that he's a complete and utter sociopath. He kills them with utterly no remorse. He chops them up into little pieces and puts them in sewage drains so they can't be found. Unless found by Kogami, because Kogami knows all of these things.
The investigation, it's extremely foolish. They find a clue, Kogami goes there, he starts saying how the guy got killed as he was finding more clues to prove that. He's like, what the fuck, dude? You read the plot.
I love how he says it. It's my detective instincts.
Yeah.
You read the script in advance.
And then he reads the script again with Spooky Boogie noticing how she said police instead of MWPSB and all that stuff. Like, a minimal clue. Like, nobody would look at that. What I'm trying to say is that it doesn't get better even when it has more episodes.
Dedicated to an
What happens instead is that you start getting quotes on random philosophy and whatnot.
Because unlike this villain, Makishima is original for quoting other people.
This villain didn't take a psychopath check for 4 years.
It's like GTA 5. If the police doesn't see you do something evil, you never did it. They're never gonna start a case.
All of this mess happens because they don't simply have a scanner in every house.
There are no scanners in this specific area, or i.e., this school with a bunch of kids that should have their psychopaths measured in secret should, be used in case there's a possible psychopath. Oh, wait. Next episode, Artistic Communities, where we now have a schoolgirl who has apparently the highest psychopaths in the series. And it's at a school where there are no scanners.
Another example of blind spots in places where you'd expect the civil system to be everywhere.
Not only that, they don't even inform the population that there is a killer on the loose because they're afraid if their psychopath goes up and shit. They're all just sheep going to the slaughter. Back to the villain, guys.
I think she may or may not have been a lesbian considering how she's usually naked with their body.
A necrophilic lesbian.
Yes.
Oh, Japan, your wonders never cease.
I don't even blame Japan on this.
It's all Urobuchi's fault.
I'm evil because the system made me evil. Again, it points out how the system is evil people are evil, and evil people do evil stuff.
The most ironically funny things in that scene was literally when she kidnapped one of the girls and just showed the disembodied head of one of her schoolmates, and is just standing there about like, this is so beautiful. It's so elegant finally meeting these two together, these two lost ones. As she's screaming, I'm just like, oh my god. This is so
super edgy, super stupid, and it's like, oh, we're gonna impress the little kids with some quotes and with some ultra-violence.
The one thing I love is literally how the villain dies. Another villain hunts her down and uses basically a hunting trap such as bears, crushing her leg, and then one of the hounds slices off her hand so she can't call for help, and then the guy takes a buckshot to her face. It's like, wow, you're really trying this to be really edgy.
I wanted to see some crazy future
Open up
shit.
another chapter of Uzumaki.
There's a lot of shows that tend to do the disfigurement better, but here in Psychopaths, it just feels like it's trying really hard to shock the audience. It lacks any real substance behind the goriness, and it comes off as very edgy.
Not to mention pretentious. Makishima killed this schoolgirl because she lacked originality. She was just a copycat of other killers. And he does that while he's quoting other people's books. So, what's next?
The backdrop.
It was funny how there's this guy who can read what people think, because he's like, hey, I'm good at this, I'm like some sort of psychologist and shit, but when people ask him how he does it, he's like, I I don't know, it's just basic guessing. I can tell by your body language.
It has no
It's
basis.
like telling the history of one character from the time he got born and what her grandma was doing at the time and all that bullshit. It's like, doesn't really make any sense. It's like, they try to make him so smart in a very cheesy way.
From very limited observations, you can only make very small assumptions about someone's personality, not profile their entire fucking lives. No matter how many psychology books you've read, you cannot determine someone's psyche because you are not them. You do not determine how they think.
In Hannibal, for example, they had a basis for all of the programming. Here it's just pulled out of the fucking air.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the new villain of this arc is now a cyborg.
Yeah, the cyborg guy has an AMA. That interview was really cool, and it presented very interesting themes like,
Transhumanism.
yeah, whatever that is. People replacing their body parts with cyborg parts. It was a really interesting idea, and of course, the show didn't talk about it later.
He
It's
just
just like,
presented it as a cool
Yes.
sci-fi concept.
it's a really good show at presenting stuff and then leaving them at that, and then people can talk about them.
AKA overthinking.
But at the same time, it tries to be more than that, and it tries to have this morality around it, and it doesn't really work out if they don't think it through, and this is not very well thought out.
That's it. Next arc, Hunting Game.
So basically that cyborg that kind of expedited about the idea of cybernetic and transhumanism, yeah, he basically hunts people for game. I don't know why he wasn't picked up by the scanners before.
More holes in the system. For a guy who keeps on saying that he's better than humans because he's almost of a machine, he keeps killing people like a typical psychopath.
He wasn't doing that just for excitement and just because he was bored. He was scared to not get stress deficiency.
He doesn't want to be like the otters, just comatose, a shell of his
Yeah.
former self. He wants to actually feel alive. And because of how detached and dehumanized he's become due to his cybernetic implementations, he wants to seek out that feeling he had when he was younger and human once again.
Yes, but isn't this a contradiction? This guy was keep on yapping about how perfect he is right now, but then he says, I was better before.
He wants to live for an extended period of time. The problem is with him is that he's bored. In the civil system, there's nothing exciting for him to do except to hunt people, which is all he's getting out of killing these people. A momentary rush of excitement. And
Dude, he walks up to those victims and just shoot them while those victims have completely no defense. What was he even expecting? You
Yes.
want the thrill, so you're gonna squash ants. Good job.
Yeah. This is the arc where Makishima's lack of detection comes into play.
He doesn't feel bad about killing, so he wouldn't be stressed about it. He has no remorse to it. He doesn't get adrenaline. His mind doesn't change. It's just another activity for him.
We have that infamous scene where he taunts Akane.
He's also trying to make her shoot him with a shotgun, and the scatter would kill both her friend and Makishima, which is quite stupid.
What are his motives again?
Talks about the freedom of the people of their expression, showing that he does actually have empathy for people because he wants them to have freedom. He feels bad for them for not having freedom. So it's instantly contradicted as soon as it is brought up, which is the main issue of this.
Then moving to 12?
Yayoi backdrop
Yes.
episode.
Yeah, let's talk about Yayoi.
Now,
Does
when
anyone agree this was a
Don't give
filler
up.
episode?
Absolutely.
Yes.
it gave context
Yeah.
to one of the enforcers, but really it served no other purpose besides that.
Didn't really, I
What?
liked the episode. It wasn't good. It was
I
just,
think
it
this
was
was
more
so
entertaining than
filler.
the show itself.
The one thing it did point it out is you can publicly vandalize the Sybil system. Why would you leave your scanners out in the open where people can easily break them? Why would you do that when you can make the scanners secret or, make them the drones constantly patrolling the area?
Why do you have underground discos, which are hidden by hologram walls?
And why do you send investigators in those discos to murder people in front of dozens of eyewitnesses, thus creating dozens of latent criminals who get panicked out of what they witness?
The problem with that is that means that those drones could be vandalized by anyone and they would not get in trouble for it.
Then you can do whatever you want to them, and it doesn't really matter. And they'll just keep saying warning or whatever they say.
And with that said, we get into the most bullshit arcs in the entirety of Psycho-Pass.
Oh
The
god,
helmets,
this arc
special
was
fucking helmets.
bullshit.
What I find kind of weird is how condensed the riots were. There's a section here where there's a riot, then there's all this area where there's nothing happening. Real riots, if you've ever seen the news, they're packed. There's a lot of streets where they're full. Not just about 50 people in one little secluded area. It makes the city almost look empty, which it isn't.
We are talking about a riot that involves tens of thousands of people. How many investigators were sent to stop all that mess?
They have literally 7 inspectors and 13 enforcers. This is a very small force of men and women working together to stop crimes.
The riots, of course, were just a distraction used by Makishima to go somewhere else.
And because Kogami knows everything in this show, because he reads the script ahead, he knows magically they're all at the Nona Tower in the Ministry of Welfare.
There is another plot hole here, you know. In the first season, we see they can just use a grenade to pacify entire crowds, but in the second season, they are just shooting at civilians without even using a grenade.
They couldn't use Dominators for this case because of the helmets.
Yes, and that's the plot hole. Those grenades were designed to stop crowds, not to be used only in the case there would be people wearing helmets that hide their psychopaths.
What did
I
you think
can't
of
call
them
them.
breaking into the Ministry of Welfare? How easy it was for Makishima and Chozo to break into there?
There aren't any cops. It's all robots.
It's a huge empty building where the only functional part is the underground.
I find it kind of hilarious because Sybil nonchalantly just killed them.
Including an innocent enforcer.
Remember what Sybil did? It actively and forcibly changed the Dominator to lethal to kill the other enforcer.
One thing that's funny is because Akane sees it as well, but she for some reason didn't get killed without any second chances. Like, the other two were instantly killed without even being able to speak, but with Akane, oh no, she's willing to reason with Akane for some bloody reason.
It was basically the plot telling people, oh, this guy needs to be killed, oh, this guy doesn't need to be killed, oh, this guy needs to make a point about morality.
So, what happens in the building?
Makishima meets Kogami, and Kogami is like, I'm gonna answer to your quote with another quote.
So anyways, they capture Makishima in a completely lame way. They hit him in the back. And what were the results of this riot?
There was no reaction.
They just treated it like any other crime and brushed it under the rug. After it's over, everyone's basically forgot it even bloody happened.
This is a major outbreak. We have people who are not detected by Sybil
The capital
for their
city, by the
crimes,
way.
and they treat it so blasé.
Okay, let's move to the last arc.
After Akane knocks out Makishima because she had to carry the helmet for some idiotic reason.
Well, the reason they carry it is because if they do it, it allows her to insulate and gain the nearest closest psychopath, which is Kogami's. But it allows him to actually use his Dominator. But they forgot that Makishima is in the building.
Yeah, there's a point that the helmet's reading Makishima.
There's no fucking point!
Dude, the entire arc is pretty well done,
Okay.
but from a sci-fi perspective, it's a fucking mess. That's the problem.
Matter if it's
Yeah,
well done if the content is terrible.
Of course it matters.
I can take a beautiful shit and it will still be shit.
Makishima's captured by Sybil and CID agents.
Makishima talks to Sybil and they invite him to get in.
Because he is a criminally
Asymptomatic.
Thank you. Thank you, Bastian.
Asymptomatic.
Asymptomatic, whatever.
Asymptomatic.
Asymptomatic. Symptom.
Okay,
A
asymptomatic.
symptom that is matic.
Okay, got it. Moving on. They give him the phone, and literally all he needs to do if he wants to cause anarchy is take that phone, plug it in, post that shit on YouTube, and then he get 100,000 likes on it, and then chaos be upbringing.
But that loses the point. The whole point isn't about anarchy. It's about one guy saying, I can do what I want. I will stick it in your ass even if I don't post it on. It's not about being progressive. He doesn't give a shit. He's chaotic. He just does whatever he feels
He
like
only
at
likes
the moment.
liberty as a thought and nothing else. He's still a sociopathic bastard.
He applies his views of liberty to himself. He thinks everyone should be free to do what they want, including himself, and he should be free to go kill someone. Basically.
Except he creates mobs, and the mob mentality isn't thinking for yourself. It's thinking as a group.
That's why he goes super ninja on their asses.
So how does the discussion with the Sybil proxy goes?
Eventually, Makishima kills him because he finds him boring because he assimilated into this Sybil system and lacked the originality again.
And he does that by once again quoting other people's books.
Moving on. And so what he does is he basically kills him and then causes the shuttle to crash and escapes.
So much for the amazing Sybil security. And the funny part is that all this time he had a plan B, and plan B is 10 times easier and more efficient than plan A.
It's true.
And if he'd done plan B first, when he was not on the radar of the police, he could have done it so easily.
He could have done that since episode 1. That's the best part.
It involved a lot less people dying and being a lot less conspicuous.
He could do it alone.
He did it alone. It might have even been faster with Cho Sig in there, because he could have just hacked into the drones and security devices and got in without any problem. He literally tied one hand behind his back by doing Plan A.
Oh, and for his own libertarian philosophies.
Oh yeah,
Finish
Oscar,
this,
you mentioned how it was really rushed. How this arc was really rushed.
The ending was very anticlimactic.
Start to end, it's a contrived plot progression. Why did Sybil reveal itself to Akane? Why didn't just...
Because she's the ideal citizen. She has all of the desirable traits that none of the other citizens have.
It's also why she can be in every job.
It's just a plot device so they're not gonna kill the main lobotomized taskman. And even that is contradicted in the second season.
They're not going to reveal it during the second season. With what they're doing, they're not even going to come close.
The most insulting part is how after all this bullshit, Akane somehow accepts that Sybil is perfect and no longer questions it, despite spending the whole show witnessing how faulty and evil it is, and then the season ends in the exact same way it began. Nothing changed, nothing was taught, they just exchanged some roles and called it character development. It wasn't. And now please, let's move to the overall impressions.
The well-done parts are the cheesy ones, the edgy ones, the dropping quotes and whatnot. It's not that they're well done because I don't like them and I don't approve of them. I can see why people like it. It looks cool. And it's a show that is pretty much a rule of cool show. Even the morality, everything, all the discussion that it tries to set up, it just tries to give you interesting ideas in order for you to talk about with your friends, with whatever. And it works at that. And I think it's a really good show for that. But the thing is that many people misconceive this for actual depth in a show. And this show doesn't really have any depth. It tries to create a universe, but it never manages to show us what exactly is this world that it's showing. You know, we don't really know any of the Psycho-Pass world. We're just shown hints of it. That from the start is a reason enough for us to not get actual depth from a show, because in order to get depth, you need the setting to be well defined and you need very good characters. And we don't have that. We have, again, plot devices, but they work well as plot devices. And I think that people should just be aware of what they're watching. It's not a show that complements your intelligence, but as long as you know how to watch it, it won't insult your intelligence either.
Psycho-Pass has merits in terms of presentation and actual directing. At the same time, it's bogged down by its exposition because it's not only a detective show which has to explain its cases, but it also is a sci-fi show that tries to explain its setting, and then it tries to be a philosophical show by presenting concepts. And it just can't handle all that when the only good part, as we've all said, is the presentation of the action. Just cool cop chases and just characters not only looking cool, but being cool and badasses.
I can't really say I dislike Psycho-Pass. I think it is entertaining for what it is, or at least when it wants to be, which is just having good action scenes, some very nice scene composition. It's just a solid action.
Yes.
Okay.
But other than that,
this is the mediocre of mediocre. It had the characters for which it could grow from. They didn't grow naturally. It had this idea and framework for themes that it did nothing with. If this show was just mediocre and people acknowledge it as such, I would not have as big of a problem as I do with some of the hype that it perceives. I'm not angry at it. I'm angry for it being mediocre and people considering it great. And we may rave on and on about it, but I think it's best to keep in mind that we just want the anime community to kind of realize the problems in different anime and to get smarter from it. and not just expect mediocrity be the new best thing. I find that's a very negative and a very cheap excuse for expecting of quality. Shows should not have to stoop to mediocrity to be considered great. We don't hate Psycho-Pass. We hate its concepts, and we hate how it's trying to be smarter than it is.
I think
Yeah.
Psycho-Pass is not the thing you're looking for if you're looking for a straight action title. I think Psycho-Pass is not the thing you're looking for if you're looking for a straight psychology title. I think Psycho-Pass is not the thing you're looking for if you're looking for something that just quotes things. This is also the biggest mismatch in all of Obuchi's shows. This is the one show that is really not one thing that expands about others. Madoka is in core a magical gore.
I think I can best sum this up as the ultimate disappointment. Psycho-Pass is in essence the mediocrity that is hyped. And I think that is probably the best way we can describe Urobuchi. Because you can see that Urobuchi has ideas. What disappoints me is that he never utilizes them correctly. For a man with ideas like this, it feels like he knows nothing of what he's talking about and just comes off as confusing rather than informative or thought-provoking.
My issue with Obuchi is that I don't like his ideas anymore. I'm tired of his ideas. It's always the same. It's never his ideas. It's always borrowed things. Even this is just a copy of 1984.
He tries to explore nihilism, but he just can't do it.
What? It doesn't even come close, Jesus.
Another major issue is that after this, everything he's basically done since is not even trying anymore. It's mostly commercial bullshit. The Madoka films, Odd Noah Zero, Gargantia.
Kamen Rider Gaim is called off and fleshed out Madoka. Even if I protect the show, and even if I can justify many things, that doesn't make the show any better. I am making this point for those people who will later say, oh no, you all hate Obuchi, yada yada, you all anti the show. No, I love sci-fi like there's no tomorrow, and I feel like this is the biggest missed opportunity ever. I just wanted nods to Asimov. I just wanted nods to all the great sci-fi writers we've had all these years. I just wanted nods to George Oswell.
And lastly, second season, prepare next time for the greatest cyber shock you have ever seen.
I should also
seasons in a
mention,
movie. How-
slap, and get ready for the next hate train in this podcast. We're going to tackle 2 for 1 in Psycho-Pass Season 2 and the movie.
You guys do realize that doing another podcast means I need to watch another season.
That's your problem.
God.
Continuing with the lovely overview of Psycho-Pass, now we go on to the second season and the first episode.
This is a callback to the first episode, I feel. It presents the concept, more or less, of the entire show. And while Digibro may complain about the directing of the first episodes and the entire season overall, I think it's much better suited because it feels even more thrilling and is more suited to action, which is what this scriptwriter prefers.
At least Urobuchi can sell his shit by having things be as vague as possible, making character motivations seem gray so any interpretation can work. Here, the screenwriter just doesn't have time for that. He's like, shit, this is so exhausting. I'm just gonna just make 11 episodes. I can't do this.
Urobuchi would have had worse characters and would have had them talk about deep themes and leave everything in mystery.
That
like the
is,
themes.
okay, we're all in agreement that that's the one great thing about the show is that no one talks more than they need to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's one time when they're preaching.
It doesn't have as much meaningless words and meaningless quotes as some rule of cool. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna quote Shakespeare now. No, we don't get that. It's how morally ambiguous should be. Rather than using a quote to ask if this is okay, use words and concepts.
Just ask it straight up.
Yeah, and Psycho-Pass 2 is pretty straightforward in that regard.
This is where we say it's honest action instead of pretentious sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's-
it has
it's
some subtlety. Like,
pure-
the characters are very brutal and all that stuff, and they're very raw.
And here we also see the new inspector, Shimotsuki Mika, and how you will hate her for the rest of the season.
Worst character too. I hate the character for what she does and how she acts. I don't hate what she represents. In fact, I think it's a good thing she represents. She's just there to be the anti-Akane.
This is what Akane should have been. She should have been Maki from season 1. She should have been someone who should have been by the book. It's so stupid. I love how she's going against everything Akane's saying, and Akane doesn't reprimand her.
But at least she's acting like a detective out of the academy versus Akane, who is not.
She actively tries to manifest her personality, which she actually has. It's very simple. It's very dumb. It's there to make you hate her, but I still love her for that. She has more personality than Akane, in my opinion.
Better well defined than Akane.
Yeah, it's well defined.
That's all that there is to her, is her questioning attitude.
Yeah,
and it gets old real fast.
Yeah, this is the first time we actually have a relevant character, which is supposed to show us how the average person thinks in the system, and this way we can experience the system, from the eyes of normal people.
She's not a regular citizen. She's
my
the ideal citizen.
No, Akane is the ideal.
Akane is the ideal.
Anti-Akane, so she's the opposite.
Yeah, but at the same time...
But at the same time, Akane is
the
the one
ideal real
opposing the system by doing what she wants, so she is the ideal citizen because she's the one who supports the system.
Yeah,
that's true.
This actually begs the question. Akane knows how the system works. Why does it take half a season for her to actually directly approach Sybil and ask for stuff?
It's because Akane isn't really a character that is active, if you notice. Akane is just a passive character which knows how to riddle solve. That's all she does.
In this show, like what Rory said, she hasn't really changed. She pretty much just inherited Kogami.
They just swapped roles, that's all they did.
Akane is the new Kogami.
Everything about her, the naivety before, it's pretty much just been replaced with a very tamer coldness about herself. I mean, she still will give people the benefit of the doubt, but there's no justification, there's no mindset. It's just her feeling like, oh, I should do this, and I should guess everything right, because that's what Kogami taught me how to do, just guess the plot.
Yeah, and the master of poker face, because I doubt she has actual emotions.
Well, there is that one point where she has like a weird expression, I think.
Yeah, they say, oh, how the fuck do we try and make this character have some emotions? I'll just put some weird face on her.
Let's just go out on the record and say that she has the most annoyingly hateful face I've ever seen. It's like, this is our main character's face.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Akane is
much
smoking.
better. Yeah.
She's one of the better characters in this season.
Oh, absolutely. Even
because
if
she's smoking. It adds a personality to her this time.
If you notice, she's sort of talking to Kogami. She's just using the cigar smoke to get in the mood, so to speak. That sounds right. You get the point.
And to pay respects to Kogami.
Which, by the way, what happens to him? It still vexes me, the whole point of knowing about Sybil. I'd be like, talking to the gun by myself, like, psst, psst, hey.
Don't kill her.
Don't worry about it.
Really, at this point, you think Sybil would probably come up with a better way to keep her under control? I don't know.
No, you'd think Sybil would be active while she's using the Dominator. And
the most that they say about her is like, you're as interesting as ever. Mm-hmm. It's like, what the fuck does that mean?
Imagine if Ginoza was the anti-Akane. That would be the biggest bummer because Ginoza's a badass and everybody loves Ginoza.
So actually, he gets absolutely no focus from this season.
No focus, and I love it because he's amazing and he doesn't need any focus.
It's more like his arc already ended in the first season.
Yeah, he's a developed character.
And now we see him act. Ginoza is the highlight of the characters in Psycho-Pass 2.
Definitely. And at least for me, he seems to be the only one that actually had a natural progression from Season 1 to Season 2. He feels in character. Everybody else from the old cast just doesn't get enough screen time to even bother with. They literally don't do nothing.
The worst criticism is that this villain is basically the same goddamn villain from the first season. So, very fresh material.
What? No, he wasn't.
He eventually will make...
if you cut all the quoting and if...
I'm just saying that as of now, when we don't know him right now, it's creating the exact same expectation real fast. It's like, hey guys, do you guys like Makishima? Guess what? This season's about another Makishima. There you go. Now don't get bored.
I really like the idea that they came up with, that Sybil is controlling both medicine and the people that way. It's relevant and somewhat terrifying if you think about it. Now, the problem with this one episode that I have, it's supposed to be a detective show, and again, the detective show is done annoyingly. What this show gives is just some mystery, which gets almost instantly solved. The guy who bombed that place, he got caught instantly, like, magic works. You just see them come up with one idea, and bam, they find him. There's no investigation really occurring, it's just them looking cool.
The dialogue is very shonen. They'll, like, explain something, and then they'll paraphrase it right back, and then mention things right on the dot, like, ooh, this person's driving real fast, or, ooh, they're using robots, or, ooh, it's a hollow. Like you said, ham-fisted. And then I have to, like, reminding myself how bad the show is with criminals standing still as they get shot.
This show is bloody. It's bloody in a way that is entertaining, actually, not cheesy. Like, you had Season 1 with a necrophiliac girl who killed people and slept with them and then made art out of them. And that was edgy as fuck. Now you just have people getting randomly killed because their psychopath is too high. And bam, explosion, bam. You see people explode amazingly. It's pretty fun to watch.
I like how at the end of episode 1, Akane's trying to convince this person to not blow himself up using my favorite line in the entire show, society is comprised of individuals. It's fucking funny. And my biggest criticism, though, is that this first episode doesn't really start anything.
It could have been an OVA and that's it.
Although later on in the show we realize that some details here are being written backwards. That's a sign of great writing, is when you write backwards.
So with that, we might as well go to episode 2.
Not much happens in this episode, not much happens in the next episode, and the one after that, and yada yada yada. Little by little things happen. It's a slow development, and I think it's nice. Psycho-Pass 1 was all over the place and double the length. There's less exposition, there's few concepts compared to Season 1. It doesn't rush. Something Psycho-Pass benefits from, I think.
It establishes the entire goddamn plot when episode 1 was standalone and wanted to go out with a bang.
It's basically a change of pace, because episode 1 was a big, yeah guys, we're back, hey yo, what's up everybody, let's see, yeah, let's go, and episode 2 was...
They just set up the mystery.
Yeah.
They introduced the what color message and then reveal what it is at the end of the episode, rather than keeping that as perhaps like a clue in their
I know,
mystery
like throughout the whole
that
show
you
or
could
something
keep
like
going throughout the show, kind of like in maybe like a standalone complex with the individual 11 or the Laughing Man,
exactly.
and that you have an overarching plot with what does what color mean. We see this showing up places that can lead to a better detective mystery. In this episode, they interrogate Kitazawa, who's the bomber from the previous episode. His coefficiency drops, and so by the rules of their system, they have to have him transferred because they can no longer hold him as a criminal. And I just thought that was another glaring example of characters overlooking the fact that their society makes absolutely no sense. They have clear evidence of bombing things. He destroyed property. You should still be arrested for that.
But you're not a criminal if you committed a crime, you're a criminal if your Psycho-Pass is high.
Guys, please don't argue with the plot device that is Psycho-Pass, because you will always lose.
It doesn't matter if you do crimes as long as your Psycho-Pass is low. But the whole point of the system was catching criminals before they became criminals. The fact that they let a criminal go should be questioned. It became a huge question mark in the first season when that happened.
How did they not automatically correlate that with their previous case of Makishima?
Shouldn't at least Sybil question this? Try to see if maybe he should put his brain in a box, like they've done so far? But they don't care. It's never explored. They just let him go.
Yeah, Sybil itself takes a real big back seat on this show.
Yeah, Sybil is basically completely passive. It's like the writer didn't know how to characterize Sybil.
Well, I mean, after Urobuchi did such a wonderful job before, why mess with perfection?
As the show ignores a lot of the things actually established in a universe which didn't have enough established to begin with.
That's because the show wants to be its own thing, and it doesn't want to be held by the change that is Psycho-Pass 1 in Orobuchi. It creates its own villains, it creates new characters, it creates everything new. It's not a sequel, but
Really?
it does feel like fan fiction with an original fan fiction ending.
I myself consider it a parody.
Here's an interesting fact. Hinakawa is voiced by the same guy who voiced Makishima.
That's pretty cute. That is something that you would see in fan fiction.
Exactly.
Okay.
On to episode 3, which starts the shitstorm.
We finally see Kamui, and we finally see him do his thing, calm people and lower their crime coefficiency.
I thought Akane being questioned about her apartment, that it could possibly be her doing the what color message in it, since there's no possible way of it being broken in, seemed interesting. They could have had a bit more plot around that.
They tried to make it seem like her sanity was being challenged, but it didn't amount to anything. It was just red herring.
Why even mess with Akane? So what if she can't be affected by what you're doing?
He's not messing with Akane, though. He's messing with Sybil. And the people
He put the symbol in her room.
Oh, well, yeah.
I'm saying he could have kept her out of it.
And since nothing else happened, let's move to episode 4.
The whole joke of the first season was that Akane is the ideal citizen. She's not. Mika is the ideal citizen because she's supposed to not question the system. And all she does in these first episodes is supposed to be a sort of foreshadowing to it. Is it done well? Not really.
No, you can't blame her for having a personality.
No, I'm not blaming her. I've just said she could have been better written. And she does get better written later on. But these first episodes make her seem plain annoying.
We can call her somewhat of a better character because now she has motivation. She doesn't want to go against any order that hasn't been given yet for fear of her coefficient. Instead of her calling Akane and asking her what she should do, she just played it safe. She's more concerned about her own well-being. It's selfish, but at least it's honest.
Yeah, no relation to Akane, who is never worried if she ever gets clouded.
Of course, she doesn't feel the consequences of this action because later episodes, but again, that is a great character that we should have had in season 1.
As much as I hate her character type, she has, in a way, a believable motivation motivation of not believing her superiors as the young inspector, her questioning of authority of what Akane is saying is a lot more realistic than Akane in the first season, which I actually like a lot more because she's acting like someone who has just come out of the academy, who thinks they know the way that things are supposed to work and is trying to play things by the book, trying to keep herself safe. But her motivations seem to go like downhill as the show continues. Like they don't keep her written well, but at this point, I actually like her as a character.
And then comes the scene in the pharmacy. I have to save you all by punching you in the face. Then you have the end of the episode in which nobody questions killing so many people. It's made out just for shock factor.
It turns into schlock, but still funny schlock, because you see people running outside and they get killed instantly, right? And you would think that they would understand that if they go that way, they will also get killed. But they keep running like stupid chicken. That was hilarious to watch.
It has a point in the sense that Sybil is presented as being ruthless, but that would have never...
No.
It's the same as releasing the criminal that bombs people.
It makes no sense.
Is your crime coefficient and how clouded your psychopath is. Those are the two things that matter when it comes to crime nowadays. That's what the show sets up.
It makes no sense in context. Sybil did not work like that.
Episode 1 of Psychopaths 1, we see someone that's above the crime coefficient, and she's basically subject to die.
It was only Akane that saved her.
Yeah, the reason these characters die is because Akane got there too late. And the third thing that happened in this episode, which is very much the highlight, is we see the coolest gun in all of Psychopaths. A gigantic rifle, and it's extremely awesome and extremely pleasuring to see.
And extremely useless.
And extremely useless.
And extremely extreme.
No, it's extremely useful because it goes through glass.
But you can't even see what your target is.
No, but it's Psychopaths. Really, what else matters? You're judging criminals. You don't need to see them.
Okay, basically, the gun, it's neat. It's cool. It's interesting. But considering what we know in later episodes, it's completely useless. Totally disregarded by the fact that they have a man in there. There is no consideration for their own teammates. What if he was targeting a villain and the person was right in front of it, you know?
What if you kill a psychopathic dog?
Now, Rod,
You always have to be prepared for that. We want to kill psychopathic dogs through walls.
Actually, Sybil gave the order to kill everyone.
But
And
Sybil is an automated bot. It's actively passive.
Makes sense to
We
me.
basically see one thing. Division 3 is bullshit, and we learn to hate them for just being to the book.
We basically get a very streamlined version of just how little Sybil gives a shit about its own citizens.
Episode 5. Let's do 5 and 6 together because it's more or less the same arc. Basically a drone factory where they make drones with miniguns and they show us off these cool drones.
They make these against aliens.
We have no idea what war they're fighting against another country.
the
Other
world is
exists separate.
fucked. Video games kill people.
Kamui's real name is Kirito.
It's Angry Birds, where the pigs are humans or something like that.
Whatever. It's a random mobile action game.
So they're using a game to effectively kill enforcers and inspectors. But the way they solve the issue of people using the game is by changing the display so that you actually see what you're doing, which then causes the group psychopaths of their society to raise. It seems so counterintuitive to their jobs of stopping that.
Remember in the first season where the Sybil system could lock the denominator? Did that happen?
Yes.
Why does this not happen when Sybil knows that their guns are being used against them? Why are they
Because this is not a
locking
sequel.
They bring that up.
Is a lot more passive than it was in last season. It's more
Yeah, that's the correct answer. And this is what made me finally realize that the screenwriter is making this a self-parody. He had to at this point.
There are so many other ways you could shut down that system. It's like one of those moments in high-action hacker movies where everybody's like, oh my god, they're getting into the system. Then what do we do? And then the one guy with a brain cell just unplugs the system. Just stop all the cell phone signal in the city. Problem fucking solved.
Do you guys remember how they found out what caused it? Mr. Script, he simply walks up to the main hacker and says, the answer could be closer than we think. And then she automatically figures it out. Just like that.
Why don't they use that to track them down?
There's just so many things wrong with these episodes.
That's what I'm talking about. The detective part of the show is done really poorly. It's a show where detectives keep remembering.
There's no guilt, there's no
reading of the
remorse.
script
Like,
more
oh
than-
man, if only we could have figured this out sooner and saved all of our comrades. No.
Did you notice how they all had decomposers and still couldn't stop the robots even without hacking?
The
They
whole
purposely
society.
make the decomposer weaker. It's even shown a couple of times at full power how it completely disassembles a drone in one shot. In another scene, it's like, pew, oh, it's barely smoking.
Just like in League of Legends, after a season, things get nerfed.
And wouldn't it have been so nice to have that big gun from episode 4 back here? Like, where are those guns at?
How can Kamui even justify the death of so many people?
His reason is that you shouldn't always listen to what the book tells you.
Yeah. But
his words.
So that's why he doesn't use quotes.
Kamui, up to this point, is played as not really a good guy, but a good-hearted guy. He trusts his people, and he helps them. But if you create basically death machines, it raises the question, is he evil or not?
Basically, he's trying to show that I am a product of this society, and does that make this a good society or not? That's basically his agenda.
But he's also a mass murderer. Is he better than Sybil? No.
That was the main problem with the villains in season 1.
Yeah.
They're like, oh,
But
we're
if you notice, though,
crazy, but we can talk about morality because we're crazy.
If you notice, when he kills everyone, it's always through turning weapons against them. It's always through, like, oh my god, my gun is being used against me, or by people who are not criminals. And if you catch them, they're going to be criminals too. He's making it so that way they can see the irony of it all. There is thought to it, but he himself is just as bad as Sybil because he's not considering the citizens themselves. It's always so distant. That's what makes this whole show suck as a critique of society, because the characters themselves are away from the consequences.
I would like to say one thing about Kamui, is that I think he's a better villain than Makishima, because
Yes.
there's more thought put into Kamui. He's more consistent. He doesn't do things because, lol, look at me, I'm chaotic and I'm an anarchist.
Akishima reveled in his immunity, where this guy is saddened. Yeah.
Makishima wanted to be a hipster.
He was a
The
troll.
moment something became slightly mainstream, the moment two people started working on something with him together, no, he betrays them and changes sides.
He gets bored. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Amuse me, mongrel.
Exactly.
Makishima is hipster fan service.
when Akane is looking at Kamui ride away on a boat in front of her with a real gun in her hand, and she doesn't shoot him because she doesn't want to kill him.
Yeah.
She could have shot both of them in the leg and then taken them in to question them, but she
But
just
they were
lets them...
getting away on a boat, and
When
he
the
fixed
worst-
them up in the next hour, so that's irrelevant.
Akane wants to not have blood on her hands directly or indirectly. She wants to do things peacefully. If she thinks she can solve something by talking, she will do it. That's why she never shoots. Did she even kill anyone at the end of the show? I don't remember. That was
No,
just...
she never kills anyone.
was more-
That's
Akane never
her entire
kills.
point.
Everybody's shooting at everybody, and she never kills anyone.
After seeing a huge massacre where dozens of her co-workers are slaughtered, she can't even let her beliefs be compromised. Not even then. As the show goes on, you really just can't sympathize with anyone.
Which is why I love Mika, and I hate Akane as a character.
The moment she kills somebody, she's gonna become a criminal.
But Akane's been told several times that she's special.
She's special in the sense that she doesn't want to kill anyone. The moment she kills somebody, that is gonna go away.
Okay, I'm gonna lump 9 and 8 together.
Okay, Sibo is finally shown to be an evil villain, which
Finally.
makes so much more sense.
Well,
Instead
Sybil-
of, we're criminally asymptomatic in order to detect other criminally asymptomatic idiots.
Yeah.
As in, we're psychopaths. Straight up say it, we're fucking psychopaths, and we rule society. And we want to stay in power. Oh,
It's
and
just so
by the
ins-
way, changing your organ changes your psychopath, because
Oh
changing
my
your
God.
liver has something to do with your
And-
entire psyche.
This is a very, very bad sequel. You can't work with this. This doesn't provoke any thoughts. What does this mean? And make you, wonder what you knew previously, and it adds to replay value? Knowing this, it's like, really? That's what I watched fucking 6 episodes for this?
I was expecting to hear some sort of psychology or philosophy that manages to make all those people lower their crime coefficiency so much, but no, it turns out it was just drugs. Just plain drugs. Why doesn't anyone use those freaking drugs so there can never be any crime coefficiency?
The whole organ transplant is bullshit. You can argue that Kamui is able to create organs which are more susceptible to drugs. If they actually went down that path, it would have worked, and it would have also explained why he can brainwash everybody.
He hypnotizes them, uses drugs to do so, and not only that, he's a space wizard because he did a surgery on himself by putting the inspector's eye.
It kind of goes shonen where it says like, oh, I was made out of 100 pieces and I inherited their personalities. My right testicle is from a woman and my left testicle is from some other man, so now I have both their personalities and all
That is why
kind of
I'm a
stuff.
hacker genius.
That's shonen mode cheesy, and if you're into that, you're gonna like it, but otherwise it doesn't really make any sense.
Mika is still obsessed with trying to do the right thing the safest way she can. And then by episode 8, she's again acts like a brat. She's like, no, I hear nothing. I see nothing. He's like, too late, bitch.
You know what? It's a natural reaction for the world they live in.
She has to realize eventually that reaction isn't getting her very far, especially right there at that
Well,
moment.
it got her pretty far. Episode 9. Mika goes insane. Yes!
It's not like that guy who killed the puppies is more sane than her.
Araki, the creator of JoJo, said one thing in the past, that to show that a villain is evil, you can show him kill or be mean to dogs, because everyone knows the dogs are great, and a person who hates dogs is evil. So basically we see that he is the most evil person ever, because he killed puppies.
And we have the God complex, which is the last incoherent and stupid thing. It makes no sense because this is again based on the idea that Sybil is supposed to function with some ingrained rules like an Asimov robot. That does not happen. It's never explicitly stated. It's just somehow every character in the show assumes this. Even Akane, which in the ending of the first season said that she was going to try to break the system down, is now trying to save it.
You must remember yourself that this is not a proper sequel because it doesn't build up on anything that was done in season 1.
In the end of the episode, Akane receives her grandmother's ear.
And has like her first emotional reaction of both series.
She's barely phased, because by the next episode she's already working and everything's fine.
Like she goes from being furious and upset to completely placid again.
She's a character made to advance the plot and solve riddles.
Her grandma said that you care more about others than you do yourself. She's not going to take the time out of her way to find her family members. She's too good for that. So we're at the point now where the Sybil system, sitting back, watching their city blow up, just basically decided, you know what, I had fun with you, Akane. I'm just going to fuck with you until I have an excuse to kill you.
That scene at the villa where Kamui kills his allies when he no longer needs them by making them eat human flesh and then burns alive all those poor innocent victims is like, holy shit, there's nothing more than schlock action left in this show.
That's basically what the show has reduced itself to.
Episode 10, right?
Yeah.
There's Kamui and his pawns just hijacking trains and putting them in tunnels to evacuate, then shut themselves in. What the hell?
Come on, you honestly gonna tell me they're gonna use the same bombs that you planned in the first episode? It's a decent deduction, but then again, why not just use some bombs for like cases from 40 years ago?
This was so convoluted.
That is just an excuse, more or less. Just feels like padding until the climax for the next episode. There is no way you can overload 200 brains with stunning 100 people.
Ideally, Sybil judges every moment millions of people.
Precisely.
If Sybil wants, it can just shut down the function, because Sybil is supposed to control those dominators. Plot holes everywhere. Just sit down and enjoy the gore fest.
Honestly, this whole show would have been a lot easier if the Dominaries could be stuck in paralyzer setting and needed a crime coefficient scan to elevate it to killer mode or destroy mode.
Which reminds me, Mika.
She takes Akane's role from the first season. She's there to stop things from happening. And she fails spectacularly.
Not only does she fail, she feels the failure and is shown to degrade even further mentally. This struggle, just for one freaking minute, had so much more impact than anything in season 1. Despite how much you're made to hate this character, she is still human.
Well,
she's human in a sea of cyborgs.
Yes.
And personally, like I said, I don't have a problem with what she represents. I have a problem with who she is.
To me, she's never been a person, just another plot device pretending to be a person. I mean, she still lacks many crucial things, like a backstory, justification for her motivations before. We still don't get any of those crucial things.
By no means is she a good character, but she is the only character that looks like a human. You're drinking dirty water instead of piss. She's dirty water.
Episode 11?
Akane stops Kamui from shooting off Togane and then knocks him down with martial arts, of course. Not only is he bigger than her, taller than her, and should have every other advantage.
He has every advantage and he's
and by the way,
train.
you see him fighting and training just like Kogami and
and he
Akane
wrecks
meeting
faces.
him. What the hell? And she handcuffs him.
No problem.
No problem at all.
I told you, Akane is like...
she's a super cop.
Yeah, I solve problem. I don't care about family. I do everything that's needed.
Togane is like a throwaway character.
They just threw his bugtrap story in the last episode and then they didn't even mention anything about it.
These last episodes, he is a straight-up menace and he has a very good presence as a villain. Just the faces he makes are priceless. Akane realizes from the script, more or less, that Kamui wants to judge Sybil for personal reasons.
And of course, she magically figures out that it wasn't Kamui who killed her grandma.
And she's like, what the hell? Why should I not allow someone to judge Sybil in order to prove that Sybil has the right to judge others? And it's executed well, in my opinion, to the omnipotent paradox, which is just...
It's executed well, but down to the logics of it, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Absolutely, I
Negative.
agree with that. This is another point I give to the show. It stands on its own 2 feet, and it shows very greatly here.
I think it stands better than the first one. But,
Absolutely,
I don't know.
it doesn't go to shit.
You just have to forget that this is a Psychopath show and stop expecting Urabuchi characters. which
Absolutely,
suck
but-
big. Speaking of which, the ending
Yes.
didn't make any sense.
But it still forced
Explained in the
Sybil
movie.
to change after being bashed down, which,
Yeah.
in my opinion, is always a plus.
There's no sense of satisfaction. Hey guys, remember when Akane said she was gonna knock down the Sybil system? Well, she meant that literally, not figuratively.
It also doesn't make any sense for Kamui to suddenly be judgeable by the system.
Yeah, how did the system even do that?
Sybil purges all of the part of the hive mind which did not agree judging
With
Kamui,
what?
and somehow that makes its psychopaths clear.
Sybil just changed its mind.
Yeah, it changes
Because
some
it's-
psychopaths.
That's exactly it. That's what I like it.
Yeah, but
It's purely conceptual. It's executed well on a conceptual level, not on a narrative level. And that's why I like this season much better than season 1, which is a mess of concepts, and narratively it is a failure on all fronts.
the thing is that they say, okay, so tell us if you're a criminal or not. And it says, okay, yeah, we kind of are criminal, and our solution is to kill some people from our civil system, and that suddenly solves the problem. That's enough of an argument to tell people that, oh, now Sybil is good? What the fuck? Like, what are the arguments for which you're saying that you're good, you know?
Will any of all that even matter in the upcoming movie?
My fear is that all the changes in Psychopaths 2 are going to get retconned in Psychopaths the movie, or they just won't matter or exist.
Yes, because we already know that it's not gonna take place in the city.
Basically says, oh, you know that civil system that we have in Japan? No, that doesn't matter. So that way we don't need to see all the changes that happen in Japan. Let's do a quick round of, do you think 2 is better than 1?
Yes, 2 is better than 1.
Yes, 2 is better than 1.
No.
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 I say yes. Rory, you're
Hell
the...
no!
Ah,
God damn it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
made, I made
All
9 videos of hate trains to prove you it's worse. It proved anything that was wrong the first season. You tell me it's better? Fuck you.
Yes!
It is
Yes,
better.
it's better.
You're idiots.
No, not this.
You're welcome.
Here's the thing. It's at this point where we realize that Urobuchi's bullshit, pretentious, philosophical babbling was only helpful in giving people just enough to accept the BS around you. You take away all
Yeah.
the pretentiousness, and you really will see the bullshit as clear as day.
The thing is that in this show, you replace the pretentiousness with the gore, and it's actually more honest. The problem then becomes philosophical and say, is something that tries to be more and is bad worse than something that tries to be less and succeeds in being less?
As a sequel, it's obviously bad.
This is definitely not a successful second season, or a sequel rather. The fans of the first season will not like this because there are different requirements.
There's nothing here to build upon for the fans to like.
The first season was edgy in themes and
Artsy.
whatnot and presentation, and it tried to be deep and it tried to be confusing enough to still make people think that it actually has some sense. While season 2 is something completely different, and if you want to consider this as a sequel, then it's a failed sequel because it's something different. It doesn't give original fans what they wanted.
Makishima may have failed in poisoning the food supply, but he succeeded in causing mayhem enough for the Sybil system to have some sort of be
Change.
judged for it.
It needs to
Yeah.
change. It needs to
It
update.
needs to change. The way season 2 just glossed over and treated it as a non-issue, that's why
Dude.
I hated it from episode
If-
1. How can anybody expect us to believe that people will go back to what was before with no issue whatsoever? There could have been a sort of resistance movement. There could have been just, Kane could have been a shadow agent. You could have had rebellions. You could have had
Yeah.
a lot of things to drive the plot in a more logical way.
If Urabuchi would have done it, it would have done the same thing, and it would have just added more characters and have more
It would have been
ideas. And
talkier. That's the thing. It just would have been
would have been
talkier.
talkier and same bullshit. Urabuchi doesn't fucking didn't want
not-
to advance the story.
I'm not
Urobuchi
questioning
just...
that. It doesn't matter who would have written it. If it
Oh,
would've
yeah,
been the
yeah,
same
of course. I
season.
would have wanted to see rebellions and whatnot. I would have wanted to see fucking
That's what it was
revolution.
marketed towards. I will change you. That's what Akane said. That's what people were hyped for.
You're talking as if the riots had any consequences to begin with.
Yeah, and they didn't have that. And that was one of my gripes with the first season as well, because everything is so fucking inconsequential.
That's the
I mean,
thing.
if the show doesn't show it to you, then it doesn't happen. Ta-da.
The show never stated it. It was never interested in stating it.
Yeah, so you're free
And-
to write your own fan fiction. It's going to be 10 times better than Urobuchi and also Psychopath 2.
The first show had the premise, it had the concepts, it had more episodes to invest into the setting, therefore more opportunity to grow. But that, it's completely closing itself to other opportunities to be a sci-fi noir show. But did it leave us with anything different? Did it provide us with a different experience? Or did it just strip down everything and make it easier? So that doesn't inherently make it a better show. In fact, it makes us more pissed off because it's like, why even make this second season to begin with? Why continue this franchise? I mean, yes, make more money, but that's what makes it so more obvious as a very failed sequel. This is by no means as bad as Blast of Tempest. I can't recommend this to anyone, and I wouldn't want anyone to watch this. I don't want anyone to hate me. So, Psycho-Pass 2, watch at your own risk. And now you know why I don't watch anime that much anymore. If I rated Psycho-Pass 4 out of 10, I'm going to rate this 2.5 out of 10.
I gave PP1 a 4, but this time I gave this a 6.
I'm going to have to give it a 5 and give PP1 a 4. Because PP1 was fucking stupid and tried to be more, and that should be punished.
Should be banned.
Yeah.
This should really be banned.
It really should be fucking...
If League of Legends would be a game in that world where psychopaths exist, and it probably will be because this game will live forever, then it would raise everybody psychopaths and we would all be criminals.
No, society would be gone at this point.
Yeah.
It would take probably less than a
Yeah,
month.
well, they are playing a terrible, terrible MOBA compared to Dota, which is better, technically speaking.
Okay.
I haven't played League in a year
I
because it made me
rate
so angry.
Psychopaths 2 a 6 because it's more honest and drops any pretenses. It is not vague and it's entertaining as Cybershock, unlike Season 1, which tried to be sci-fi but failed on every level.
I would give Psychopaths 1 a 4 because it has a lot of problems. It's pre-pretentious, it relies on quoting of other materials, and overall the show is a mess. But I would give Psychopaths 2 probably a 2 or 2.5 again, specifically because by being a sequel to Psychopaths 1, it relies on the issues of Psychopaths 1, but then reinforces them. So it's redundant in its plot, and it's completely unnecessary as a show.
Judging on the base idea that a 5 is the most bland anime you'll ever see. On that perspective, I give Psycho-Pass 1 a 5.5 or maybe a 6 because I didn't mind the pretentiousness as much as everybody else here did. We had a few episodic moments in which Urobuchi tried to give us a few ideas, like here's a theme, a concept. It's been used before, but think about it. Think about it, anime. And that got way too much hype than it deserved, but at least it forced you to think compared to a random anime with a sudden girlfriend appearance in a harem. So at the very least, I'll give it a grade above the baseline. If Season 2 would have come in and fixed so much from the first season, could have given a purpose, I would have rated this show higher.
You're blaming Season 2 for not fixing the problems of Season 1.
Yes,
That's
literally.
right. Season 2 is so bad because it doesn't fix the problems of Season 1. And Season 1 is great because...
It's one of the things that it should have done, and it didn't. And it failed
Yeah,
in so many other things that even the few things that were actually established in the first season got completely trampled over. So because of that, I have to give it a grade below the baseline. I'm giving it a 4.5.
As Psycho-Pass, I gave it
I
a
know
4 because nothing really thrilled me. Nothing was done in an original way. A good show, a good product will take old ideas and modernize them. And Psycho-Pass didn't do that as a modern-day show. And so that's how it got 4.
At
And
the very
Psycho-Pass
least, it
2 is
rehashed
lower.
something the anime community had not seen in a while, and Urobuchi tends to do this a lot. Hence why his shows get much higher ratings than they should actually get. Because people...
Not even ratings, they just get attention.
Yeah, because people didn't get to experience that for a while.
Because people are noobs and think that any show with detectives where detectives try to look cool is an actual detective show. and because any dystopia is actual good sci-fi, and because people think that, oh, Shakespeare and whatnot, just mentioning them makes the show 10 times better, and Panopticon and
But I do
philosophy
wonder-
and all that. You only need to be smart enough to see it, and whoever doesn't see it is a fucking idiot.
I like the way you're thinking.
And that's what I'm getting at, is just basically the fact that I'm not a casual. I've seen over 500 anime. I've a lot of products of different mediums, and Psycho-Pass was just like, it's, you know, and I hate the character designs. Nothing about the show appealed to me, but I was able to get by. Curiosity got me through it.
Rory making me watch it got me through it.
We're at a point where I think all he's thinking is, ooh, they're talking and I'm gonna cut it all out.
I will, don't worry.